Can't sleep because anxiety is my new roommate and he doesn't pay rent. I'm looking at my credit card statement, and I notice something. The balance. It's bigger than last month, but here's the thing. I didn't buy anything. I didn't go to Vegas, I didn't buy a jet ski, I didn't even buy the good toilet paper. I literally just existed, and somehow, I owe more money. So I call the credit card company, 3 a.m., I'm that guy now, the desperate 3 a.m. caller. And I'm like, yo, there must be a mistake. I didn't spend any money this month. And the lady on the phone, sweet as pie, patient like she deals with financial breakdowns every hour, goes, oh no, sir, there's no mistake. That's compound interest. Compound interest. I said, ma'am, the only thing compounding in my life is my depression and my blood pressure and my tendency to eat gas station hot dogs at midnight. She wasn't amused. But then I started thinking. And you know what's dangerous? Me. Thinking. At 2 a.m., with access to Google, and coffee, and rage. Because I went down a rabbit hole, and I learned about something called the Rule of 72. And let me tell you something right now. This rule, this little piece of math, it explains everything. It explains why your grandpa retired with a pension and a boat. It explains why you're 34 working 3 jobs and still can't afford a decent sandwich. It explains why boomers keep telling you to just save more while you're out here choosing between gas and groceries. Albert Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. He said, those who understand it earn it, those who don't pay it. That man was a genius. Smartest guy in the room, probably the smartest guy in every room. But he left out one tiny detail. If you're poor, if you're broke, if you're living check to check like 78% of Americans in 2026, that wonder, that miracle, it's working backwards. It's not building your wealth. It's building their wealth off your back while you sleep, while you work, while you're trying to figure out why eggs cost $9. The Rule of 72 is a math trick. Super simple. Elementary school simple. You take the number 72 and you divide it by an interest rate. And boom, it tells you how many years it takes for money to double. Sounds innocent, right? Sounds like something your high school math teacher mentioned once, while you were thinking about lunch, or that girl in 3rd period, or literally anything except math. But this little rule, it's the secret weapon that separates the rich from the broke. And nobody told us. Nobody sat us down and said, hey, Bill, you should probably understand this before you swipe that credit card for a PlayStation you can't afford. Nobody said, Bill, this is more important than the quadratic formula. Nobody said, Bill, this will determine whether you retire in Florida or in a cardboard box behind a Wendy's. Let me show you how this works. Both ways, because it's a double-edged sword. And right now, in 2026, most of us are on the wrong side of the blade. The math that could save you if you had money. Let's say you're smart, responsible, disciplined. You got like $10,000 and you invest it. Big if, I know. Most of us don't have $10,000. Most of us have $10 in a dream, but stay with me. The stock market historically returns about 10% per year, not every year. Sometimes it's up 30%. Sometimes it crashes and you cry in your car listening to sad Taylor Swift songs. But average, over the long term, about 10%. So you take 72, divide it by 10. That's 7.2 years. That means your $10,000 becomes $20,000 in about 7 years. You do nothing. You don't work overtime. You don't sell feet pics on the internet. You don't start a dropshipping side hustle. You just wait, and it doubles. Wait another 7.2 years, now it's 40,000. Another 7.2 years, 80,000. Another 7.2 years, 160,000. You see how this works? That's the wonder Einstein was talking about. That's the thing rich people know. They put money in the market at 25 years old, and by the time they're 60, it's doubled 5 times. They look like financial wizards. Geniuses, Wall Street masterminds, but really? They just understood one rule, Rule of 72, and they had the money to put in, and they didn't touch it. And they didn't panic sell when CNN said the world was ending. But here's where it gets dark. Here's where the nightmare begins. Because that same rule works on debt too, and it works faster. So much faster it'll make your head spin. The math that's currently destroying you. Let me tell you about my credit card, Capital One. Great company, love them. They've been very supportive of my financial destruction. They helped me build credit when I was 23 and dumb, when I thought credit cards were free money. When I thought the minimum payment was the actual payment and everything else was optional. But the interest rate, 24%, 24%. I didn't know what that meant when I signed up. I thought interest was like a service fee, a little tip for the bank, like, thanks for letting me borrow money, here's a couple bucks. I didn't know it was a weapon. I didn't know it was a financial neutron bomb designed to keep me broke forever. So let's do the math. 72 divided by 24, that's 3 years. 3 years! That means if I have $1,000 in credit card debt today and I only pay the minimum payment, in 3 years I'll owe $2,000. I didn't buy anything new. I didn't go shopping. I didn't treat myself. I didn't live beyond my means. I just existed. Paid the minimums, tried to survive, and the debt doubled. You know what doubles in 3 years naturally? Nothing good. Not my salary. Not my hair, not my dating prospects, just the debt. And here's the part that made me want to throw my laptop out the window. You ready for this? You sitting down, my investment account, 10% return, doubles in 7.2 years. My credit card, 24% interest, doubles in 3 years. Do you see the problem? Do you see it? My debt is growing more than twice as fast as my wealth. I'm trying to run up a down escalator while carrying a refrigerator. The math is rigged. The game is rigged. And nobody told me the rules until I was already losing. I'm out here thinking I'm being smart. I got a savings account, high yield. That's what they called it, high yield. You know what the interest rate is, 0.5% if I'm lucky. Some months it's 0.3%. You know how long it takes to double at 0.5%? 72 divided by 0.5, that's 144 years. 144 years. I'll be dead. My kids will be dead. My grandkids will be dead. We'll all be dust. The sun might explode and my savings account will finally double. Meanwhile, my credit card debt doubled 3 years ago while I was sleeping. Then it doubled again 3 years after that. And again. And again. This is what they don't teach you in school. They teach you the Pythagorean theorem. When have you ever used that? Oh no, I need to find the hypotenuse of this triangle so I can buy groceries, pay rent, figure out why I'm broke. But the rule of 72? That's real life. That's the difference between retiring on a beach in Costa Rica and retiring in your nephew's basement eating off-brand cereal. Why this matters in 2026 more than ever, let me bring this back to reality, to today, to right now. Because right now, in January 2026, we are living through an economic horror movie. And we're not the heroes, we're the people who die in the first 15 minutes. Interest rates are high. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell and his merry band of economic button pushers, they jacked up rates to fight inflation. Started in 2022, kept going. And you know what that means? It means borrowing money is expensive. Car loans, 6, 7, 8%, and that's if you got good credit. If your credit score looks like my GPA in college, you're paying 12%. Mortgages, same thing. The days of 3% mortgages are gone, dead, buried. Now you're looking at 7%, 8%. People are paying more in interest than their parents paid for their entire house. Credit cards? Still cruising at a cool 24% like it's a party and nobody invited you, but you're still paying for the drinks. But here's the sick part. The truly sick part. Your savings account? Still paying you basically nothing. My bank gives me 0.3%. I checked, I called them, I was like, is this a typo? Did someone fall asleep on the keyboard? They said no, that's the rate. So let me get this straight. If I borrow money, it costs me 24%. If I save money, they pay me 0.3%. That's not capitalism. That's not the free market. That's a mugging. That's robbery in broad daylight. That's the bank pointing a gun at you and taking your wallet while telling you it's for your own good. And people wonder why nobody can get ahead. You got debt doubling every 3 years and savings doubling every 240 years. The math doesn't math. It can't math. It's mathematically impossible to win this game. You're cooked before you even start. I got friends, good people, hard workers who are stuck in this loop. They got credit card debt from college, or medical bills because they had the audacity to get sick in America, or just living, being alive, existing, and every month they pay the minimum. Every month they think they're making progress, but the rule of 72 is laughing at them because that debt is growing faster than they can kill it. It's like trying to bail water out of a boat with a spoon while someone's shooting holes in the hull with a machine gun. You're working hard, you're sweating, you're trying, but the math is against you. The physics is against you. Reality is against you. The lie they sold us about building wealth. Here's where people get it twisted. They read some guru online, some guy with a Lambo, and a green screen and a course that costs $997, and he's yelling, invest, build wealth, passive income, financial freedom. And you're sitting there with $15,000 in credit card debt, $40,000 in student loans, and a car that makes a sound like it's crying for help, thinking, should I invest? No. Let me explain this in the simplest way possible. In a way so simple that even I understood it when my therapist explained it to me. If you invest money in the stock market, you might make 10% per year. Maybe. If the market's good, if there's no recession, if there's no pandemic, if Elon doesn't tweet something crazy and crash everything, if China doesn't do something weird, if the Federal Reserve doesn't sneeze wrong. But your credit card debt, that's guaranteed 24% growth every year, every month, every day. No maybe, no market conditions, no economic factors, just pure aggressive compound destruction. It's like cancer, it just grows. So let's say you got $1,000, extra money. Miracle money, birthday money, tax refund. You're thinking, do I invest this or pay off debt? If you invested at 10%, in 1 year you got $100. Nice. Exciting. You made $100. You feel like Warren Buffett, but that same 1,000 sitting on your credit card, in 1 year it's 1 to 240. You lost $240. Net result, you're down $140. You tried to be smart. You tried to build wealth. You listened to the gurus, but you just lost money because you didn't understand the rule of 72. Paying off high-interest debt is investing. It's the best investment because you're getting a guaranteed 24% return. Show me a stock that does that. Show me a crypto coin. Show me a real estate deal that guarantees 24% every single year with zero risk. You can't, because it doesn't exist. Even the craziest hedge fund managers on Wall Street would kill for a guaranteed 24% return. But killing debt? That's the return. You're not making money. You're stopping the bleeding. And in 2026, stopping the bleeding is making money. The numbers don't lie, but they will make you cry. Let me show you some real examples, real numbers from real life, my life. Because I'm an open book, a sad, broke, open book. I have 3 debts right now. Credit card 1, $5,000 balance, 24% APR. Using the rule of 72, that doubles in 3 years. So if I just pay minimums, in 3 years I'll owe $10,000. In 6 years, $20,000. In 9 years, $40,000. From a $5,000 mistake, I could owe $40,000 in less than a decade. That's a used car. That's a down payment on a house in some states. That's a whole life ruined by compound interest. Credit card 2, $3,000 balance, 18% APR. Rule of 72 says that doubles in 4 years. Still fast, still painful, still a problem. Car loan, $15,000 remaining, 6% APR. Doubles in 12 years, still annoying but way slower than the credit cards. Which one should I pay off first? The 24%, always, every time, no question, no debate. Because that's the one killing me the fastest. That's the one compounding like a monster on steroids. That's the financial equivalent of a grease fire. You don't worry about the messy kitchen. You put out the fire first. This is called the avalanche method. You pay minimums on everything, but you attack the highest interest rate debt with everything you got. Extra money from a side gig goes there. Tax refund goes there. Birthday money from grandma? Sorry, grandma, I love you, but it's going to Capital One. Found $20 in an old jacket? Credit card. Sold some stuff on Facebook Marketplace? Credit card. I know Dave Ramsey says do the snowball method. Pay off the smallest debt first for the emotional win. And look, I respect Dave. I respect that emotions matter, financial peace and all that. But in 2026, with interest rates this high, with inflation eating our lunch, we don't have time for emotional wins. We need math wins. We need to stop the doubling. We need to kill the thing that's killing us the fastest. The part where I admit I was wrong. Here's my confession. For 3 years, from 2022 to 2025, I did it wrong. I had credit card debt, about $8,000 worth, and I was investing, putting money in my 401k, putting money in Robinhood, buying stocks, feeling smart, feeling responsible. My logic was, well, the stock market returns 10% on average, so I should invest while I'm young and let compound interest work for me. But I forgot one thing. I had debt compounding at 24%. So while my investments were maybe growing at 10% in a good year, my debt was definitely growing at 24% every year. I was losing 14% annually. I was going backwards. I was paddling upstream. I was running on a treadmill set to a speed faster than I could handle. I thought I was building wealth. But really, I was just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. It took me 3 years to figure this out. 3 years of reading articles, 3 years of watching videos, 3 years of my balance going UP even though I was making payments. And then one day, 2 a.m., kitchen table, calculator in hand, I finally understood. The rule of 72 doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care that you're trying. It just works. Math doesn't have mercy. The plan, how to actually stop getting doubled. All right, enough pain, enough confession, enough crying into my off-brand cereal. Let's talk solutions, because I'm not here to just oppress you. I'm not a sadist. I'm here to translate this nightmare into something you can actually do. Step 1. List every single debt you have. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, personal loans, that $50 you owe your cousin from poker night 3 years ago. Everything. Write it down, face it. I know it's scary, I know you don't want to, but you can't fight what you can't see. Step 2. Write down the interest rate next to each one. This is critical. The rate is what matters, not the balance. Step 3. Do the rule of 72 math. Divide 72 by each interest rate. Now you know how fast each debt is doubling. Now you know which one is the emergency and which one is just annoying. Step 4. Attack the highest rate first, minimum payments on everything else. But that highest rate, throw everything you got at it, extra money from a side gig. Step 5. Stop investing until the high-interest debt is gone. I know that hurts. I know it feels wrong. I know the gurus told you to invest early. Start young, compound interest. Time in the market beats timing the market. All the sayings, but you can't build wealth while you're on fire. You got to put out the fire first. Get rid of anything above 8% interest. Then, and only then, can we talk about investing. Step 6. Once the high-rate debt is dead, build a small emergency fund, $1,000. $2,000 if you can, because life happens, cars break, teeth crack, pipes burst. And if you don't have an emergency fund, the next emergency goes right back on that credit card you just paid off. It's a trap. Don't fall for it again. Step 7. Now you can invest. Now you can build wealth. Now the rule of 72 works for you instead of against you. Put money in your 401k, open a Roth IRA, buy index funds, let it sit, let it double every 7 years. In 30 years, you'll have doubled 4 times. That's real wealth. That's the miracle Einstein was talking about. The reality check, this takes time. I need to be real with you. This isn't a quick fix. This isn't a life hack. This isn't one weird trick banks hate. If you got $10,000 in credit card debt at 24% and you're paying $500 a month, it'll take you about 2 years to pay it off. 2 years. That's a long time. That's longer than most Marvel movies stay relevant. But here's the thing. If you don't pay it off, if you just pay minimums, it'll take you 15 years and you'll pay $13,000 in interest. On a $10,000 debt, you'll pay $23,000 total. That's the choice. 2 years of pain or 15 years of suffering. The rule of 72 is patient. It'll wait. It'll compound. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're working 2 jobs. It doesn't care if you're doing your best. But if you understand it, if you use it, you can win. Slowly, painfully, but you can win. The final yap, why nobody taught us this? Look, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a guru. I don't have a course. I don't have a Lambo. I have a 2012 Honda Civic with a check engine light that's been on since 2019. I'm just a guy who learned this stuff the hard way. I spent years paying minimums on credit cards. While trying to invest in stocks, I thought I was being smart, building wealth, diversifying, adulting. But the whole time, my debt was doubling faster than my investments were growing. I was running in place. Actually, I was running backwards. And I didn't even know it because nobody taught me the rule of 72. They teach you algebra in school, geometry, calculus if you're unlucky. But personal finance? The math that actually affects your life, silence. And you know why? Because if everybody understood the rule of 72, the whole system would collapse. Banks make billions off people not knowing this. Credit card companies love that you think your 24% APR is just a little fee. They love that you're paying minimums. They love that your debt doubles every 3 years while you're confused about why you can't get ahead. But now you know. Now you understand why your grandpa could buy a house at 25 and you can't afford rent at 35. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you bought too much avocado toast. It's not because you have a smartphone. It's because the math changed. Interest rates on debt stayed high. Returns on savings dropped to nothing. And wages, they definitely didn't double every 7 years. My salary has gone up maybe 15% in the last 5 years. That's not even keeping up with inflation. Meanwhile, my rent doubled, gas doubled, eggs tripled. The game is rigged, but you can still win. You just got to play defense first. Kill the debt that's doubling fast. Stop feeding the monster. Then you can start building wealth. Because compound interest really is a wonder. It really is powerful. It really can change your life. But it's a tool, and right now in 2026, the banks are using that tool on you. They're using your money to get rich while you stay broke. It's time to take the tool back. Understand the rule of 72. Use it, respect it, fear it, but most importantly, make it work for you. Because I'm tired of being on the wrong side of the math. I'm tired of doubling my debt. while my savings sit there like a participation trophy. I'm tired of working this hard and having nothing to show for it. And I bet you are too. I'm Bill, and I'll see you in the next yap. Probably crying about something else the economy did to me. Maybe tariffs, maybe inflation, maybe the fact that a bag of chips is 90% air and costs $6. But at least now, we understand the math behind the pain. That's progress, right? Right? God, I need a drink. But I probably can't afford it because compound interest took my bar money and doubled it into debt. The end.